This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, everyone. So this will be our second session on cloud computing. So as a recap, we'll just go over the topics which we went yesterday. So this was our course topics on the cloud computing. We started with this, the introduction and before cloud computing scenario, how was the situation before cloud computing came into picture. This is like a traditional data center on-prem environment, and this is the virtualization, how it looks, and this is the benefits of cloud computing, what it offers. And this is kind of a definition of cloud computing. What is this virtualization? uh, Cloud is nothing but virtualization and automation. So that's the simplest definition. And kind of this is one of the other simplest definition, that I want to use everything over the internet. Like, I want to hardware and software delivered via network. Yeah. So this is like one of the service model. So this is like on-prem infrastructure. Yeah. So this is like on-prem infrastructure, and then we had this option of infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. These are the cloud options we have. Depending on the requirement, the customers get to choose what they want. Yeah. And this is a deployment model. We have this depending on where your infrastructure is located, and so we have this hybrid public, community, and private model. And we just looked over this major cloud providers. We have this AWS, Azure, and GCP. And we created our AWS account yesterday, and it was good to know for me that it got activated on the fly. We didn't have to wait any longer. So even what I did in the evening, my evening, even I created one of the accounts. So I just checked, yes, it was created on the fly. We didn't have to wait for this activation process. So this is the new screen that we get to see. Yeah. Okay, so talking further, like, this is about this cloud. So when we talk about this data center, so I want you to imagine like this. This is the data center setup. So this is how an infrastructure data center looks like. A big company we have to buy. You can understand that if consider this as my on-prem environments, you can understand how much cost is involved here. If like I plan to invest everything here, I need to buy land, buildings, and so many cooling. There are so many servers. This is just one snapshot, and you can consider this the breadth of this building and this particular infrastructure. You can just imagine how many servers or like this you will see inside this building, right? So the cooling mechanism is there. There's so much cost involved. So you can understand why this on-prem uh, was so costly affair, right? And that's the reason we had to move to customers are moving towards cloud. That's the main reason. So when I said data center, imagine a building like this with full of servers, network like switches, routers, hub, like everything, like imagine storage. Just imagine like this a big all this cooling facilities is there. There's so much heat generated by these servers. They keep on running generators. There's so much infrastructure involved here. So I want, when I said data center, I want you to imagine like this. This is the infrastructure when I say about this data center. And when I talk about this multiple data centers, like say here, I'm just showing you three data centers, 1, 2, and 3. So when we merge three data centers, that is one AWS region. So when I call a region, like AWS or Amazon or any cloud provider have so many regions. So consider like that mostly in one region, they have three data centers or three availability zone, we call it. That's the word AWS uses for the for the region, like for for the data center. Sorry, for one data center they call it availability zone. So one region they have three availability zone, AZ, they call it. So three AZ makes up one region. So why did they do this? For this high availability, disaster recovery. So there are so many things, right? So they want like something happens to this infrastructure, some flood came up. So they don't want to like all the data and like everything, all the coding part, everything, all the in like the application, they can move it. They will have some mechanism set up between two data centers, between two AZs, so they can transfer all the things, like if this is flooded, so that the application never goes down, it's still operational, right? And this disaster recovery concept we also have between two regions. So a disaster recovery concept comes between two regions. When I talk about its highly availability, we talk about the same region and two availability zone. Yeah. So that's the term we'll go over. There are few cloud computing terms. We'll go over that. But I want you to imagine one AWS region as three AZs, three data centers. If I talk about this AWS availability zone, so as I mentioned, this AWS region is like three availability zone. This is that's how they kind of write this. South is 2A, 2B, and 2C. So these are three availability zone, and they make up as one region. Mostly they have three availability zone for one region, but it's not always the case. So if they're trying to set up for the first time, right, they always start with one data center, and as the request grows, the demand grows, they try to set up one more. So two is also like there are few regions where they have this two availability zone, not three, but three is the ideal what they're trying to set up globally. So each region has many availability zone, mostly three, minimum is two, and max is 6. So you can just, and each ability zone is one or more discrete data centers with a redundant power, networking, and connectivity. So even one is also like they have taken care if power. So they that's what the architecture is. So they are making sure they have this fault tolerant concept. These are the cloud words, cloud computing words, fault tolerance. We'll go over that. So if any power failure is there, so where your the server where your application is hosted is not down, it's like it will be like load balancers like will be there, or it will be replicated to some other inst compute, so that your application never goes down. So they always power supply, redundant power, networking, and connectivity. So they make sure that if something power supply or any issues comes, but your application should never go down within one data center itself. So it's very reliable. If they have three setup, they are taking care of this fault tolerant with one availability zone also. So it can be very reliable. Yeah. And they're connected with high bandwidth, ultra low latency, and networking. So yes, all are connected, as I mentioned, right? Highly available. So when I talk about this region, I talk about this highly available. That's the word we use for a region. Between two AZs, my prime objective is to make my application highly available. It should never go down. If something happens to this guy here, the other AG should take care of that part. And we have this high connectivity depending on the network. depending on how much money, what setup you have it. We have so many options here. You can create your private network between these two. If your data is secure, so you can talk to AWS and you can have that setup.
One question here, Roshan.
Please.
So, as you say, it's a high availability. Is there any downtime and SLA predefined, like, downtime, or based on, like, client, they define the SLA?
Yes.
How they route the traffic?
Yes, there is always a contract between the customer and the cloud provider. There's always a contract.
Okay.
That if my system goes down by this much seconds, they talk in seconds basically. This much seconds or minutes, you will have to pay so much back, something like that. There's a contract, and like they call it like 99. If your availability is less than 99.5, you will have to pay so much. If your availability is less than 99.8, no problem. Like they have this bandwidth like 0.2, because it's never the case that it will never go down, but for few seconds sometime it happens, right? So if 99 point, I think for 99.8 it's fine, but from 99.5 they start charging back, the customers start charging back. So they will ask for some discounts, that will not be paying so much, and if it is less than 98, will not pay anything. So something like that. There's a contract between the customer that we can go over this documentation, what all the cloud provider has different this thing, the SLAs, right? It all depends between the customer and the cloud provider.
Okay.
How their agreement, right? Yeah. So yeah, that's so billing is also there, billing module. So we'll see that now in some time in action, that we have this billing setup, and yeah. Okay. So this is the about the availability zone here. So just remember that when we talk about this one region, we talk of highly availability. That's the word we use with region. And when we talk of multiple regions, suppose if I just place one more box here, we talk of disaster recovery. Between two regions, we use the word disaster recovery, and between one region, we use the word highly available. So if I talk about this AWS Global, yeah, please come again. Yeah.
Can you repeat the difference between HA and DR?
DR, yeah. So I told, like, when I talk about, like, suppose this is one region, right? And we have these 3 AZs here, 3 AZ in one region, and it can be minimum is 2 and max is 6. They have it depending on the client base, or yeah. So in US there are few regions where they have more AGs, but the 3 is the more the standard. Even most of the cloud provider prefer 3 max. So, and yeah, when I talk about this, when I talk between the regions, suppose this region is in India, suppose, and the other region is in Australia. So between two regions, I will use the word disaster recovery. So that's the word they use between the regions. Like something happens to this region, like this particular region, so my data will be safe somewhere. There has to be some mechanism set up so that my data gets copied, transferred safely. And when I talk about this one region here, I talk the highly available. We talk about this word HA, highly available, between one region. So if something happens to this guy is to take care. But if something happens to everything here, all the 3 AGs, so DR should come into place, and my data should not be lost anywhere. And they're connected with high bandwidth, ultra low latency networking. It's very fast. And even we have the option of connectivity between your on-prem and cloud environment. So that setup is also there. We'll go over that, what all options we have. Yeah. Okay, so this is like AWS global infrastructure. Now currently they have 77 AZs and 24 regions. So you can consider how much compute, how much infrastructure they have. It's growing, and yeah, I think Microsoft has even more. Google, uh, yeah, and AWS is the most popular because they have more services, more ease to use. But it's not like microservices. Microsoft and Google has less number of AZs and regions, but no, they are also very widely spread. Uh, so, and these are like my orange coming soon. They have given this. This is the link. I can do one thing. I can just put it in the chat. You can go over this link whenever. I cannot copy paste. Okay. Okay, I'll do it. I need to. I need to disconnect this like this. Just hold on. Copy paste. So you can, it keeps on updating. So yeah, you see the link of that. Okay. So you can see that widely spread, right? 77 availability zone, 77 data centers. So you can imagine like this, 24 regions, so widely spread, and they make sure they have the presence everywhere, around everywhere. So that, why everywhere? And they have this edge location also, edge locations. Apart from this availability zone and regions, they have this edge location. Suppose I'm in Australia, and I want like a data, particular data from US, right? Suppose it's a very far, right? But in between, I'll have some edge location, so that the data, what I need from what I'm requesting from Australia will be stored in somewhere in the edge location nearby Australia. So I don't need to fetch the data all the time from the US, right? So they have this edge location also. And these are the regions. We'll see that in our AWS console in some time. We'll walk you
No,
through.
I mean, sorry to interrupt, Roshan, sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
So data can,
Please tell me,
I
Bala.
mean, what difference between, yeah, what is difference between edge location and availability zone?
The difference between data center and edge location.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, right.
I think yeah, that edge location. No? I'll get back to you on that. I just knew that they have this edge location also, but I never see in this diagram. But I think they would not have other setup, right? I think their data center should be having this edge location, I think. But I'll answer this question. Maybe I just need to explore on that part. But just remember they have this edge
Okay.
location also. Yeah, I'll explore on that. Okay, and I'll inform you. But just know that they have this edge
Okay.
location also. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And there are a few cloud terminologies. We use it throughout the cloud, like highly availability, disaster recovery, fault tolerance, scalability, and elasticity. So when I talk about this highly availability, it's referred to to systems or components that are continuously operational without failure for a long time. The term implies that these are the standard definitions. So I'm just reading it out. I've taken it, just copy pasted. These are standard NIST definitions. So the term implies that there are safeguards in place in case of component failures, typically in the form of redundant components. So yeah, these are the highly availability. So as I mentioned, we talk of highly availability within a region. The disaster recovery involves a set of policies, tools, and procedures to enable the recovery or continuation of vital technology, infrastructure, and systems. And fault tolerant, we talk about within one AZ. That's the highly available between within one region, disaster recovery between two regions, fault tolerant for one AZ. We talk about within the data center. So yeah, describes how a cloud vendor will ensure minimal downtime for services provided. So they'll make sure within the same AZ they have this setup. First of all, if some power failure happened, so there has to be your application has to be deployed somewhere else also, and they have to be like they not in connection, so that if one power failures will cause the second power failure also. So they'll have this setup, a different connection basically. That is a fault tolerant. So fault tolerance for one AG we call it highly availability for one region, and a disaster recovery between two regions. And the other standard definition, scalability. We have these two types of scalability here. Horizontal scaling, when we are adding up resources, adding up new resources, that's called horizontal scaling. And when we are increasing the size or the capacity of the same instance or the resource, that's called vertical scaling. Suppose if I'm using one particular comp EC2 with suppose 5 GB RAM or like 20 GB RAM and some hard disk. If I want to use the same EC2 and I want to increase its capacity to 40 GB, that is like vertical scaling. And if I want to use another EC2 with 20 GB, that's called horizontal scaling. Yeah, that's the definition. And
so what is the difference between 20 and 50?
No, like this is that definitions. Horizontal scaling is like I'm adding up new resources.
Resources means RAM?
Anything. It could be anything. Like all the resources I'm talking about in general, like compute. I just gave one your example to make you understand.
Yeah. I'm trying to know. I mean, is it a RAM or hard drive, something like
complete
that, right?
box, complete box. Like EC2 we call it, right? There's EC2, right? So
right.
We call it compute. So it has some disk also, some storage also, some RAM also. Like how our computer is, laptop is, right? Suppose in the laptop we have some hard disk, suppose 500 gig and some RAM 16 gig, suppose, right? And I'm trying to scale up my own laptop to suppose 40 GB RAM and 2 TB of hard disks, right? So that is like a vertical scaling. I am increasing the power, I'm increasing the capacity on the same this underlying hardware, right? So that is called vertical scaling. And I'm trying to have one more laptop or load balance, like one more laptop with the same configuration. So that is called a horizontal scaling. So scaling out, scaling in. You got this right? Or
it's yeah.
No, I'm not confusing. This is a simple thing, right? Suppose just consider, like we'll go about this in like technically, like, but in layman terms, like suppose I have this kind of a little bit. Suppose this is my hardware, one hardware. Okay, suppose this is my hardware, and I'm growing its capacity or compute. Let's call it compute. I'm growing its capacity, making it bigger. That is vertical. That is vertical scaling. And I'm adding up same kind of compute. That's horizontal scaling.
But in both models, you are incrementing, right? You are scaling up.
So that is the scalability. That's the concept. There are two ways we can scale up things.
Right.
There are two ways we can scale up things. You must have read up horizontal scaling and vertical scaling, right? So there are two ways we can scale up things, or scale up, scale down. Both can happen depending on, in the cloud, that's called elasticity. That's the next concept. The cloud is elastic.
Right.
Depending on your request, your compute can expand or can shrink depending on your number of requests. That's the elasticity concept.
Right.
You got that, right?
Yeah. Right. Go ahead. Yeah.
Roshan, I just laughed on that high availability. These 2-3 things: disaster recovery and fault tolerance. Can you just repeat that if you don't mind?
Yeah. So disaster recovery is between two regions. Let me just go back to my diagram. We'll just that's what I put this diagram so that you understand things better. When you imagine things, for me, if I get comfortable when I see things. So this is one data center. Okay, one data center with this kind of, you just imagine you're full of these guys here, full of hardware and everything. Within one data center, I will talk of fault tolerance. Within one data center. Data center is nothing but AG. I will talk of fault tolerant. Okay, this is my region comprising of 3 AZs. I'll talk of highly availability here. And suppose I have one more regions. Suppose this is in US. I have something more in some other region in India or in Australia. Between those two regions, I'll talk of disaster recovery. There's three concepts. So let's start with this. I'll talk of fault tolerance here. Within one region, I'll talk of high of availability here, and between two regions, I'll talk of disaster recovery. So they are the words, like people get confused when to use highly available. So they are cloud terminologies, right? So we just need to be precise when we are using these words. Yeah, so that's it. Most of the people can think all are same thing. Why are we naming it differently? But where it is applied, that is most important thing. But you're fine now?
Fine, I'm fine.
It's clear. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You have to take care of everyone. Yeah. So there are important things, like when I started, I thought, why they are naming it differently? Yeah, all mean the same to me, but no, they have this separate meaning. So yeah, so there are the few cloud terminologies. So highly availability, disaster recovery, fault tolerance, and scalability. We can scale up or scale down. So there are two ways we can do it. Horizontal, just imagine like horizontal, no? Horizontal, just try to remember as horizontally you are growing something. Or if you are horizontally you are growing something, you have to add up things. And vertical is like you will, on top of something, you will grow, right? So you will try to increase your own capacity, vertical scaling. So you will not add up things.
Yeah.
You'll try to increase your own capacity. So yeah.
Basically, we are adding additional boxes for horizontal. For
Yes.
vertical, we are increasing for existing box, the RAM
Yes.
and hard drive computing.
Exactly. You are right. Suppose I'm using one box. I am doing architecture. I am doing testing. I'm using one box with some particular specification. I'm thinking now, after performance testing or after doing some testing, I got to know, no, this is not the enough resources. I want more resources. So I have two options. I have two options with me. Now I have to decide whether to go for horizontal scaling or vertical scaling. So if I go for horizontal scaling, I can do load balancing between those two instances, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so those aspects has to be
correct.
here. So now we'll start this our session here, hands-on. So we'll go over this AWS Management Console, which we created yesterday, and we have this root user. we log in as a root user. First of all, as a root user, we will not touch the root account. That is like safe. We will not touch anything. Just keep the credentials safe with you. We'll be creating users there. Consider as a root user as your own company AWS account. Whatever you guys created yesterday, like consider as your own company account. And you have some employees with you. You will have to create users, right? If you want them to access your cloud services or your services, you'll create users, right? We will create users, and we have this option of giving roles there. For a few of them, you will give administrative access. For a few of them, you'll give development access. You will restrict the access that no developer, that you can define it. We'll see in IAM, that is called IAM, security setup. So you will define the users, groups, and roles in IAM. So think from a customer, like company perspective, like I want my developers to have only this access. So you will create a group for a developer. You will assign some roles to that group. Then, and you will add your developers in that group. Similarly, if you have some testers, you will not let everyone like you have this root account, you can access anything, right? You can delete your instances, you can change anything, but you don't want your employees to do all those things, right? So you will create your groups, you will give permissions to your group, and then you will add users there. So we'll create users. So when I talk about this IAM, we'll do this billing setup first, that since we are using free tier, just it's a kind of a knowledge. Billing is one of the AWS services. So we can do a setup like if my billing exceeds this much, I should be notified. So we'll do that setup, and then we'll create our users there in the root account. Only the root account can create the user. So even for us also, for our thing also, we'll create we'll add as a user, we'll create user for ourselves, and then we'll give administrative access to ourselves. But for the rest of the people, will not give that. Will, depending on their requirement, their roles and responsibility, that is the next AWS services will be IAM, Identity and Access Management. We call it. All other cloud providers also name the same thing, IAM. Yeah, but like EC2, that's the Amazon specific. Some other company use compute. Okay, so we'll go about that. So first IAM, you will create users. Just remember that for IAM, also you will be understanding better if I explain right now, then you will be able to relate. In IAM, we'll have users, groups, and roles, 3 things. And next class also we'll go over that in detail. I have a detailed slide for that, but try to just understand slowly, that then you will realize it better. Yeah. So 3 things: users, groups, and roles. Depending on the requirement, you will create groups, you will give some permissions to the groups, and then you will keep on adding users. So that's the main thing. We'll go with, and we'll talk about this another cloud, AWS services, EC2. That's called Elastic Compute Cloud. EC2 can be a Linux instance. So you always know the virtualization is happening. It's not like virtualization is not happening. I showed you the diagram, right? Yeah, first diagram. So I want you to realize that it is not the case. I showed you in this traditional, right, infrastructure. I showed you virtualization. So virtualization was required, still required, because I am getting to distribute my compute. A compute, I use this word infrastructure, or anything you can use it, infrastructure, hardware. You're getting to segment. So this virtualization is still required in IT. So you are just this here just I explained this about this virtualization. So this is all things are required. This all things are happening in cloud, but I'm getting to use over the internet. That's the thing with the cloud. So it's still the same thing. Yeah. So we'll talk about this IAM, and we'll talk about this EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. So EC2 can be a Linux instance, can be a Windows instance. We can get to choose the operating system, different operating. We have so many options. I'll just show you, walk you through. And then we have the storage services. We call it EBS, Elastic Block Storage. We have this S3. It is for the object storage, we call it. Anything you can store here. And this is EFS, Elastic File Storage. And these are the storage services, we have it. And this is the networking, the most important concept. Network engineers want to learn VPC. They want to master networking, because that's, see, in AWS console only they will be working. Everyone would be working in AWS console, like any cloud provider console. So you can understand there, now the things are getting so simple. You can get to realize that what these guys are doing. So networking will go over. We'll understand what it is, what does it mean. So maybe we'll try to cover today IAM and EC2 mostly. Yeah. Just hands-on, and we'll talk about this detailed about those things in the next session. Yeah, let me just switch to my AWS console. Okay. I created this yesterday, so I was just checking whether it got created really in Fly, because last time it took 3 to 4 hours for me to get it activated. So yeah, it got created in the, yeah, very, very, very fast. Now they have done it very simple. They're making it simpler. Yeah, and I see more of the options whenever in this new console. I see more options.
Okay. This is after logging in as a root user.
Yes. I just logged. This is root user. I can sign out.
Because actually in the class I didn't do.
Okay, so please, so this is the place. We'll start from here. I think you were here, right? Till here, right? So let's see this. So I'm just trying to log in first. I'll log in as a root user, because I don't have any AWS. I don't have IAM user created. Else I would have done that. Since I created this new for this account, I don't have this thing. So I will. I'm logging as the root user only. Yeah, and this is the landing page you see. And currently I have selected this Mumbai region. So there are so many regions. We have this option, right? We have so many options here. So many regions. And I just selected the nearest, so that things get very fast. I don't have any delay or anything yet. So I just selected my nearest region from here. I'm in Bangalore. Select this Mumbai region. And this is the, if I have to get to see, if I want to see all the services what AWS offers, I'll click here. And I get to see all the services. There are plenty of them. No one can know everything. No one. And they keep on growing. They keep on automating things. They keep on making things simple and making it challenging for everyone to learn and to grow. So it's endless. They started with EC2 back in 2006, and now look at the services. They have also A to Z or whatever. There are so many services. If I talk about this in compute itself, they have so many options. They have this This is important. Elastic Beanstalk, they have it. They have this Lambda functions. And in storage, we have this S3 EFS and storage gateway. In the DB, they have this so many options depending on your requirement. You can select. One is relational DB, RDS is relational DB, but depending on your requirement, your business need, you can select any of these DBs, not just relational. We have only heard of mostly about RDS, right? Relational DB, MySQL, or Oracle, SQL Server. Those are RDS, relational DB, but there are other options also. And when I talk about this migration and transfer, I showed you, right, between two regions and between two AZs, we have to set this up. So they have this option set up here, and this networking VPC will we'll go about it. There is Route 53. So it's like to create your own domain. They have this service, and yeah, and there are developer tools like X-rays. We went over this X-ray over our demo. So we have developers tools. Developers tool they have given, just when they're coding, they can check the performance. So very simple. Developer is not like a developer would not use. Nowadays we can think like a developer would not use Dynatrace, right? That's our right as a performance engineers, or an infrastructure guy would do that, right? Dynatrace. But with this console, developer can go and do an X-ray and they can check the performance, right? So simple. They have made it
So
so
are
simple.
these IDEs like Eclipse?
Please come again. No. X-ray showed you, right, that day the diagram. If I select on X-ray, not IDE, like tools. To there are some IDE also. There would be. I see. I told you, right. We don't know everything. So X-ray, I use it. So this is like a monitoring thing. X-ray. You deploy your agent. You deploy your agent in EC2. Like how you deploy your agent in App Dynamics or Dynatrace, right?
Right.
You deploy your agent and you get to see how all the requests, where it is traversing and where it is creating problems, or where is the bottleneck. You get to see pure path. You get to see in Dynatrace, right? Or all those stuff. Not in pure path you not get to see, but the path of the request, where it is having problem, those stuff. So developers can use it.
Monitoring services, right?
Monitoring service, yes.
Okay.
We went over on our demo too. Yeah, if you want to have a just look, we went over that. So there are so many options. No one can know everything. So yeah, but we have to know important things. The management and governance. We went over this CloudWatch. There are CloudTrail as well, and this list will keep on growing for sure. Yeah.
What is the CloudTrail?
CloudTrail is like your audit things. Audit. If something is happening, if anyone is working in the cloud, right, it will keep a trail of all the activity being done in the cloud. So you can just, if you want to learn more, click here, anyone, and they have this documentation thing also. You can get to know about those things simply. So if I have to answer you, so I will go here and use CloudTrail to meet your governance, compliance, auditing needs for your AWS accounts. So they will just come here and check what all activity you have been doing and all those stuff, right? So they have the documentation because it's new, so they make sure that they have this documentation also. So you can just, what is AWS CloudTrail? You just do this, how it works, do this. You can download as a PDF. you can keep on growing knowledge. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, Roshan. Like, will you be explaining about this auto scaling? There is one instance called auto scaling, right? One service. The service.
We can go over that. We can go over that. That was not in my list, but we can go over that, right? We can go over that. So, yeah. So, auto scaling is important. It has to scale auto. Right? We'll go over that. So, yeah.
Auto scaling and load balancer are two things that will be important in our performance engineering area.
Yes. We'll go
covering those two things. I mean, in as a demo or something. That's what I'm trying to.
We'll go over that for sure. But I am showing you that how you can get to know about any information, right? Like I'm showing you this here. So you can just click any of the services and you can go to the documentation and you can get to see 309 pages of PDF document. Enough information to like you get, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this will be definitely good, but having that demo.
We will go over that for sure, Bala.
Yeah.
Auto scaling and elasticity we need, right? Yeah. So yeah, coming to back to our. So yeah, there are media services. So I am not sure on that part. So it all depends on the business requirement. If some companies media convert, I think it will convert something MP4 to some different format and all those stuff. Can use as a service. Machine learning, they have this so many options here. Analytics, they have so many options. It depends on your requirement and your company needs. You may be needing these services. These are the IAM is the most important one. We'll go over this. We'll go over this resource access manager, and there are other things as well. This mobile stuff. So there are plenty of things. So you can explore on your own, but specifically as you mentioned, Bala, we'll go over that. Okay.
So something like Pinpoint. Yeah, Pinpoint. So do you think that was in troubleshooting or something?
Yes, that you see, auto scaling, we have to just check that box. I will show you. I will when we create this instance, right? We can. Where is that auto scaling you saw here?
Yeah, it should be there. Yeah.
See.
Auto scaling and load balancer also.
Yeah, load balancer. Sure.
And there is something like Pinpoint. At the last, there is something like Pinpoint. Do you think that that will help us?
What is that? Analytics.
No.
Users. No.
Okay.
There are so many things, Bala. You can come up with something. We'll explore. Okay.
Yeah, but definitely, like we'd prefer to learn as much as related to performance engineering services.
We will do mainly that. Yes. We will do that. Yeah. So even if I'm not aware of something, and if we can figure out that it is required for us, we all will explore. Yeah. I really want to learn more here. Even I'm also learning on daily basis. Something new comes up. But yeah, auto scaling and those things are important. Okay, so the brief. This is this AWS console. I'm introducing you with this console so that you can explore on your own, right? You get interested, and yeah, that's the main reason I'm doing this. So you can they have some videos, websites, learn to build. You have these databases. So they have these 3 videos, 3 tutorials, 3 labs, storage, websites and web apps, something on DevOps side. They have it, so you can explore. Suppose databases, right? So if I go here, so that's the main thing. That's the main agenda. Like we have to migrate. So that will be the like skill set when we talk about this cloud database, right? So we have to what the company would expect you the company would expect you to migrate my Oracle database to Amazon, something like that, right? So that's the main, migrate from Oracle to Amazon or Aurora. So that will be one more additional skill set that you need to have, apart from knowing all the DB knowledge, all the performance related stuff. You need to also be aware of how to migrate from Oracle to, that's the competitor, right? Amazon and Oracle, right? So I mean, these guys have created so many DB. They have made this Oracle. They have given really good competition to this guy, because when we talk about database, Oracle is the giant, right? But they have so many options. So yeah.
Aurora is again a database.
Yes.
Yeah, and one
Roshan, this is
Yeah.
sorry, I mean Aurora is RDBMS, we know that, but Redshift is what is it? It's in-memory management database.
It is one of the DBs. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, sorry for interrupting. Yeah, you were talking about this database performance engineering. Okay, so we have told that is a different thing. That's all fine. But coming to the databases, I mean, there might be some leading databases which I mean the cloud providers might be providing, and already the industry is using. So we just wanted to understand like how they will be monitored. So let's say Amazon Aurora, or else any other leading.
Yes. So databases. So there are some mechanism in place, the workaround. So we'll go about that sometime. Yeah. I'm planning to have a separate session on this. I'm trying to figure out the course content of this DB side, because it's a very huge topic. It's a very huge topic. I showed you some time back, maybe.
Right. I understand. I understand that, but yeah, what I'm only trying to ask is the cloud related database, how to monitor. That's it. I mean, so you have given a elaborated content on cloud database performance engineering, right, from SGA, PG, and all that things. Okay. Anyway, we are already around 10 years of experience. Like we can have some basic idea on those things.
Right.
We already had some idea, but these things are new. I mean, cloud databases. So how to monitor those cloud databases?
Okay.
So actually maybe 1 or 2 sessions. Do you think?
We'll go over that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I want this RDS, suppose if I write, I can provision this RDS, and I'll show you like if I want to create. First, you need to create to any monitor. We'll go over that in some separate session, right? Yes. We'll go over that. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool.
So let me just complete today's agenda. First of all, I just wanted to show you, and we got sidetracked. Okay, there are so many AWS offerings. You can go and click and explore. Okay, so yeah, coming to our first of all billing setup. Let's do first billing setup. We'll go to this billing dashboard. And what we will do now, it is showing 00. So first we'll create a budget, so that if we are exceeding, we'll be notified. Let's create our own budget. If you guys are with me, or they want to follow it, so it will be a cost budget. We'll set up this cost budget. There are so many options, usage budget, and yeah.
Can we do it parallelly? So
Yeah, we can do it. Please do it. No, please do it. Let's do it. Because once after we're done with this root account, now we'll never touch this root account. We'll only go to the IAM user, and we'll give ourselves. We'll create a group, administrative. We'll give that group an administrative access, and we'll ourselves there. And from next time, we'll not use this root account. We'll use that user to log in. So please do that. It will be let's finish that first today. Yeah, maybe we can talk about this EC2 some maybe next session. Yeah. Let's finish this at least today parallelly all together. Yeah. So let's everyone click here, billing dashboard. Go to this. Are we all here?
Yes, Roshan. Yeah.
Okay. So let's click on this budget. And let's create your budget. Create budget. And there are so many options here: cost budget, usage budget. So like consider yourself as a company, and you're doing it for your organization. So you are been given this responsibility of managing your all cloud services, right? Everything. So you will set up a budget, right? That if my budget exceeds this much, you want to be notified, and then you'll take proper appropriate action. Why? You will find the reason why it is getting exceeded. If I not why what I expected. So for those aspects, you first create a budget. So cost budget, usage budget. There are so many options. We'll go with cost budget for now. Set your budget. Click on set your budget, and we will do a monthly budget. We'll name this. Suppose if I want to name this as AWS.
Roshan, I'm not able to find the billing dashboard here.
There only, huh?
Mm.
If I go to this guy, you don't have this billing dashboard here. Go to your user, your thing, huh? This one.
My billing dashboard, got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Budget.
You're good now? Can you?
Budget. Yeah, create budget. Yeah.
Okay. So let's create a budget. Let's put at AWS Learning. AWS Learning, or you can put anything, right? As per your company requirement. So whatever. Then you can put it a monthly or quarterly, annually. Let's put it monthly. Let's put as a recurring budget, and let budget amount is fixed. Give some budget. Okay, let's allocate as per your thinking. You are a company, you know how much resources or how much budget you have, how much expense you can do. We as a learner, we don't want to spend more. Let's put it $1 minimum. Let's select all these options, and let's configure alerts. Okay, I'm clicking here. Are we all here? I'm about to click on configure alerts.
Yes.
Are we all here?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. So now there is one more option here. I can do an actual cost alert. That is like alerting now on the actual cost or forecasted cost. So suppose I'll put as a like alert threshold like 10%. 10%, like 10% of $1. Like, yeah, you can imagine. So if this gets threshold, I want to get a email. That's it, and I will confirm this budget. You can just see an overview here, summary, and then I'll create. So you can see this. I have created my budget here, and now if your budget will exceed this, you'll be notified. Actually, in my last account, right, I was doing some activity, and I did get the email. Yeah. So not in this account. This account I created yesterday only. This is bill is 0. But there it's bill shows something. There is some. Okay. So there I see here 0, but in that account I do see some 67 or 68 rupees being charged for me. So I was doing some activity. So that's the thing. Whenever I don't use any compute, any EC2 instance, I just make it down, stop it, and then when next time I want to use it, I'll start it. So yeah, so 750 hours they have mentioned, right? So, and if you do data transfer, like if you're copying from your local machine, suppose I have this Windows instance also, I wanted to copy my JMeter files and all. I thought it'll not be charged, but actually they are charging. It's better to download. So if you're copying files in and out, they can all that also has some cost thing. So it's at AWS, we need to understand this billing thing full in detail, because they charge heavily. Yeah.
Yeah, surprisingly, you see the bill all of a sudden. Yes.
Yeah, but but for us, we will not be doing any such thing, so need not worry. And if you're doing something, we'll learn something, right? If it becomes 300, 400, it doesn't matter if we're learning something, right? So yeah, fine. So yeah, that's the first thing we did. We created the budget. Now we'll be notified here. Second thing, what we will do, we'll create our IAM user. So IAM is one of the services. So for any services, now let's not explore here. Let's not where is IAM now. Just be smart. We'll just click here. IAM. Yeah. So as I mentioned, we have this groups, users, roles, policies. So these are the four things you remember when you talk about this IAM. This is the security services. So we'll create, first of all, what is required. We'll create groups depending on your requirement of your organization: developers, admins, DBAs, testers, and those groups. You will have some roles, some policies. You will be assigning to these roles and policies to this group. And then you'll create users and you'll keep on adding to that specific thing. But for now, we will just do it. What we will do, we will just create one user, our user, like ourselves, and we'll give administrative access to ourselves. Yeah. And this is the IAM user link. So you don't want others to know this is your AWS account number. You don't want everyone to know about this account number. So we have this option of customizing it. So let's customize it. Anything you can write, your company name is ABC, whatever. Let's just, we are just learning. So now this will be my URL. I will give for IAM users, I'll give this URL so that they are not knowing, they don't know about your AWS account number, right? So yeah. And what we will do now, we'll just, there are some securities things to be done here. We'll do here. So create MFA on your in your root account. You can create multi-factor authentication. Delete your root account. So let's not do that. It's already green ticked, so it's fine. Do MFA. Click on MFA. Multi-factor authentication. You can do that. You can skip it also, but let's do it. Let's learn it. There are virtual MFA devices coming. Yeah. Am I going fast? Let's go slow. Let's go slow. Click here. Activate MFA.
Hang on, Roshan. When I'm customizing it, it is asking me to feed the account number. Why?
I don't understand, Kripa. Please, can you come again?
When I'm trying to customize my account, it's asking the account. I'm giving my company name. It's not accepting.
Okay,
let's give something else then.
Roshan, for me also different error. When I'm trying to create alias, it says that
maybe it is it has to be unique. Yeah, it has to be unique. Add some digits, you will be okay.
No, I'm giving my name and digit. Says it's invalid. It says it must
have you given any spaces and all?
No spaces, only my name and number. It says it must contain only digits. Is it true?
No,
yeah, same error I'm getting.
My screen.
No, the whole error is the specified value for account is invalid. It must contain only digits, lowercase letters, and hyphen. Okay.
Did you click on customize?
Yes.
Yeah, enter
Okay,
some.
fine. Yeah. Okay. To correct it, it's not allowing uppercase also. Okay.
Yeah, please. So that should not be it. I just
Use only the
Yeah.
lowercase.
Yeah. After that, just I pressed, and now the user.
yeah. So we'll give this URL from next time. We'll use this URL to log in. Okay. So if I copy here, I can, if I go here, see, I'm trying to log into this URL now. So now I should be able to log in. At least that page should come. See, now I will create my user. This is my IAM user, one of the IAM user. I will create, and I will give a password, and then I can sign in as the IAM user. Sign in as the IAM user. So that's the link for the IAM user. I have to. But don't do that, else you'll be logged out there. Let's finish this up today at least.
Yeah. As of now, my alias name is created.
Okay, let's finish this up today. Yes.
So what goes in IAM username, Roshan?
Any user you want to add?
No, when
Don't
you
log
log
in
in.
as IAM user now. You have not created any IAM user for now. We will create.
Okay.
You have not created any IAM user, so don't click on IAM user. Now it's only the root account. We will do it after creating IAM user. We have this option
Okay.
of
This
creating
is root account
IAM.
even.
Huh? Come again?
Just now we have created IAM user sign in link, right? Similarly, we can do it for multiple.
When did we create IAM user?
No. Just now we have given some URL, right? Okay. This URL is
That
just a sign.
for the IAM user sign in.
Okay.
We have not created any IAM user till now.
Okay. Sorry.
Are we good yet? Are we
Yeah,
okay? Okay.
yeah. Let's create it. Manage it.
Okay. So let's create this manage MFA. Basically you are giving security to your root account, so no one can hijack your thing. So you can go for a multi-factor authentication MFA and activate your MFA. Are we all here? Shall I click here?
Yes. Yes.
So let's select virtual MFA device. So in your phone, you can install one authenticator application I told yesterday. Authenticator, I think I have done in my Android phone. It should be there in iPhone also. If you guys have authenticator,
What is
you
the
will
app name? The Google Play?
authenticator.
Yeah.
Authenticator.
One second. I should. I guess I should download because. Okay. Just to update, I'm not in WhatsApp group.
No. In the call is discussed. Okay, authenticator. Just try it. So we will be prompted with QR code. So
Oh, I see. Is this a TOTP authenticator? Or?
let's see there. Let's click on continue. I'll click on continue. So basically, once you download that thing, you need to scan this guy here, and you'll get some codes here. We'll put this code, and then we'll assign MFA. That's the simple thing. Yeah. QR code. We will scan it, and 2 codes will be generated one by one.
Right, Roshan, here different providers are there, like TOTP, Google, Microsoft, 2FA.
I click first. Yeah. I click first. Click on first.
Google
Virtual MFA device.
In the mobile, we are getting different authenticators like TOTP, Google, Microsoft.
Yeah.
which one you
Okay.
consider?
Android Play Store, when we are searching for authenticator, we found different providers, actually different apps. So which one we should go?
Oh,
Is it
that-
AWS specific or
no, I have Authenticator, but you'll have this AWS root account thing here. See, when I Google Authenticator, can you just type that Google Authenticator?
Yes, Google one is the right one. I think it will
Right.
support all the things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Google Authenticator. Please do that.
Google Authenticator? Okay.
See, when I
Okay,
click
Google
on that application, what I see, I just get to see 6 digit, and it keeps on changing after 20 seconds. So if I want to, I have created for my previous account, I have created this MFA. So I have to, apart from my username, like my email ID and password, I have to also come here and check this 6 digit number, which gets auto generated and it keeps on changing. It's not the same all the time. And then only I'll be logged in as the root user. So that's the double MFA, right? So multi-factor
Yeah,
authentication.
Roshan, when I scanned it, it gave me Amazon Web Service number,
Yeah.
6 digit.
Yes, you are at the right place. Yeah.
So I have to enter in the MFA code
Yeah,
one.
now you click this virtual MFA device, you go on continue, and you scan the QR code and type this 6 digit 2 times. So QR code.
Same code?
No. Again 2 times. After a few seconds, you'll be again prompted with a new code. You first scan this guy.
Right.
Your own thing, not my screen. Don't scan my screen.
Yeah, and I got some number that I should fill it in MFA code
Yes,
one.
MFA code 1 and MFA code 2. Yes.
Two different codes, right?
2 different codes. Yes.
I got only one.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
have to
I'm
wait.
doing-
I mean,
So,
if you wait for some time, it will generate another one.
yes.
Right, able to add 2 codes.
Yeah. Do assign MFA. Yeah, please.
Yes, did that.
So it's coming for me also 7672 Then I will wait for some time and I will type again. Then the next number
Yeah,
comes up.
it displayed you have successfully assigned virtual MFA.
Perfect. Congratulations.
Close it.
Yeah. You have been MFA authenticated now. No one can hack your root account here.
So this is only one time we use or all the
One
time?
time to the root account. That's it. Just to safeguard your root account. As a company, you want your root account to be super safe, right?
Right.
So yeah, even I have done that. So yeah.
App, do we need to do any activities in the Google Authenticator app or not
Just
required?
go there and click on plus. I cannot show my mobile. I don't know. Okay, so just if you download Google Authenticator, you will see plus option at the below right corner. So you need to go click there and just scan the QR codes.
I mean, this is only to scan the QR code and generating the number or anything else?
That's it. Just to
Okay.
scan your QR code and get 2 numbers. That's it. And
That's it.
whenever, don't delete this application. Whenever you are logging to your root account later, the number which keeps on updated, like automatically you need to put this number along with your password, root password. Then only you'll be logged into your root account. Don't delete this application.
So the root account password and followed by this number?
This number, which keeps on changing, right? It's not the same.
I know, but the first will be the password and you have to append this number to it?
Right. So we will see that once let it get activated. Like how we do it, right? Suppose in our company, if you don't connect to VPN, and if we want to use company website, so we get this OTP also, right? In our phone, mobile. So those way, double MFA we call it, right? In Google also, Gmail also you can do that, MFA. So consider this like an OTP, or which is getting auto generated only for your account. So servers looking for that specific number which is there in your phone with your account, it is mapping, and then only you'll be allowed to your root account. So yeah. Are we all good here till here? Can we proceed?
Yeah.
I think this is going to be long.
Yes, Roshan. Yes, you can proceed.
If anyone like we have already exceeded the time, like can everyone extend for some time? Can we complete this part? Then we'll take up EC2 tomorrow. Okay, yeah. To manage users, create one user. Let's give this user programmatic access and both because it's our user, no? It's our name. So let's give all the access possible, and let's give custom password also. So you will be you will be required to write this password when you are clicking on IAM user login. So either you can keep it same or different. You as this. Select click on permissions. Are we good here?
Yes, Roshan. Yes.
Okay. So permissions. So let's add to a group. I told you that for any user, I need to add to a particular group. So we'll create a group. There are some few defaults groups. This is for administrator. We'll select this administrator for now. We can create our own group also later. Then we'll select this first, and then we'll see create group. This is the policy name. Basically, we are creating a group name. Let's give this group name as admins. Okay, I've given this group name as admins, and they are the policies. They are the policies defined by the AWS. You can also create your own policy, but let's go with this for now. And let's select this administrator access and give this group name admins, and click on create group. Are we
First,
all?
we have to check box only administrator, right? Only first one.
Yeah, first one. Just select first one. Yeah. See, if you look at the description, provides full access to AWS services and resources.
Correct.
We want to give ourselves that level of access, right? So.
Yeah, we got that add user to group and the group name.
Yeah. You can create policy also, but leave it. We'll do it sometime. Let's keep it simple so that everyone understands. We'll talk about the policy later.
So how I missed it, Roshan?
What? Yeah, Kripa, what?
I missed giving the permission. So where should I go?
Can you add users to group? Can you click this?
Add users to group, where it is?
They're down below. There only we had this option where we
account identification. No, I cannot find.
We were in IAM, right? We were in IAM. We were doing some activity there. I just click. We are in this process of creating individual IAM users. Click here, manage users. Are you good? Can you see this, Kripa?
Just a moment. Yep. Now create individual IAM user.
Just
manage
user. Manage users.
Yeah.
Click that. What you're saying?
Yeah. This I'm getting this username add user. Okay.
Add user.
Then give username.
Give a user
Okay.
simple user, because this is your IAM user. You will be
Yeah.
logging next time using this user. So, and this give everything programmatic access and AWS management, and give a custom password. It can be auto generated also, but let's give a remember the password because you need
Yeah.
okay, and then
Create
if you
user.
give this
Next
box,
permission.
user must create a new password for next login. If I'm giving a custom password, I don't want this to happen, but you have this option also. I will uncheck this because again I will have to change the password if I am doing this. So I will uncheck this
Yeah.
box and do this next
Yeah.
permission.
Permission. Yes.
You have to
Then
add the
create.
users. I have created this.
Yep.
You, you go to create groups and
Create group. Yes.
give your admin and just select this box and anything. Select this box and just click on create group.
Hey, Ocean,
Yes.
do we have to enable require password reset checkbox or no?
Anything. Maybe you'll be prompted to change your password for the first login. So just change it password.
So enable it?
So only administrator.
No, disable it because if I'm giving a custom password, it is for my
Don't.
one of the features. Why do I want if I'm giving a custom password? I know what I'm going. Maybe for the new employees because I cannot give a custom password, so I will auto generate first, and for them I will click this box so that because I'll be giving them some random number, right? The password. So they should do that. For them, I will, but for us, it's not required, right?
Yeah.
You are able to understand, Kumar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's create this admin, select this box. Are we all here? Please
Yes.
give one.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So go to your next tags, add a tag, name, and this is like your name of your EC, like your thing, user. So let's give my first user anything. And next review. Shall I do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and review. So now I can review everything at once. Then I can create user. So my user is created now. This is the like I can notify my email login instructions. So send email after creating
Okay,
the
the
user.
username which was displayed here is IAM user, right?
The IAM
This
user,
one.
yes. Yes. Okay. So let's go back to our next thing. Close this. You can click on close here. And yeah. So this is the last thing. Is everyone getting all checked here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So apply an IAM password policy. So this is the password policy. So
there is one download.csv in the final
please
step.
do that. Please do that. Save it locally. Please do that and save it locally. Don't show this to anyone. You will have all the details there. Yeah. Download it, please. I think I missed to show that. Yeah.
Why there is one more option here? The first for me, delete your root access key. Manage security credentials.
For everyone, it is there, people.
Okay.
So what is that download you said, no, Roshan? No.
Download CSV. Okay. Okay. There only one option was there. Kumar, can you show your screen?
Yes. On the top.
Let me
I
stop.
I closed it.
Okay, closed it. Na? So there
So
was an option. So if you have done a custom password, na, then don't worry. If you're giving a random password, then random password would show there in download.csv. Okay. But if you're given a
there
custom
is the one
password,
button. There is one button with download.csv. You can see it in the bold actually.
yeah.
You don't miss it.
Yeah.
But delete your root access is exclamatory for me. Roshan, why is it so?
What is there, Kripa?
It's not green. It's not green for me.
It was green by default.
It should.
No,
You should
for
have
me,
all the 4 grids except the last one.
No, this was
no,
default.
for me,
It was green by default.
no, for me, it's not green. It's like last one, exclamatory with exclamatory mark.
No, why? Okay, we'll talk about that, Kripa. Maybe I don't know what
Yeah.
is happening. Maybe you would not have delete your root access keys. I don't know why. But learn more. We need to explore something. We'll do that. Okay, Kripa, we'll do that. Okay. So let's create this IAM password policy. Manage password policy. Set password policy. We can set this guy. And we can just like as a company, right, it is our duty or our thing to have some policy in place. I want username password should be this long. They can use these things. Consider as a from an organization point of view. You are a root user, you are from an organization point of view, so you can just check as per your comfortness. I did not specific anything. You can do as per your wish.
Sorry, Roshan. How did you come here? This page
I just did set password policy here.
from account settings. I mean.
Dashboard, IAM manage password policy. You saw this, right?
Yeah.
Go to
Okay.
click set password policy.
Okay.
You get this page, right?
Yeah, I got it here.
Yeah. Then you can select or unselect as per your thing here. Okay.
So otherwise we can just leave as it is and save changes.
Leave as it is. But I'm just informing you that as a company, you have this option of creating a standard, right? Many company has this. That at least require one number, at least you should have one capital, at least one small, at least you want one special character, those stuff, right?
There's a password standard.
Standard, yes. So, okay, I'm clicking on the save changes now.
Got it.
Let me just use this guy here and here, at least one number. So let's do this. Then you can do enable password expiration also, and then all those things. So I'm doing our save changes. Are we all good here?
Yes.
Yep.
So done. My IAM policy is set now. I have all checked green tech here, but I don't know why Kripa, why it was not defaulted for you. Did you change this Kripa? Your
Yep.
okay. But it was defaulted green for everyone. Maybe you just want to log in and see what's happening. Okay. Or maybe you can follow along this video, recorded video, or you can see where you went wrong. It should be simple. I don't know. Like I've never explored on this part because it is always default green. This tells about delete your root access keys and delete your AWS root account access key because they provide unrestricted access to your AWS resources. Instead, use IAM user access keys to provide security credentials. This is always green here. I don't know how it is not green for you. Okay, this is the IAM
Roshan,
user setup.
have you done or can I drop off or anymore now?
No, so you can just for the last thing you can just copy this link and you can try whatever user you created, right?
Okay.
You can go to this link and try to access try to log in as your IAM user and see if you can do that.
Okay.
I'm still able to log in as a root user. It was not deleted.
See, I just logged in as the IAM user. Now I am in the IAM user. Can anyone do this? Since I
No.
did that, I'll be logged out from my root account.
Yeah, I got in, Roshan.
Yeah.
I'm already inside. I used IAM user and a password.
Right. IAM user and account ID. Instead of account ID, you gave whatever the custom name you gave, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to give that IAM user the name you created and the custom password you did. So we got this page. Now we are not as the root user. You can see now, you can see you will get like this Roshan @ something. So this Roshan is your user IAM user now. Like you must have something, Kumar, something for you, right?
Yeah, my name and at the rate of my
@. So it tells you that this guy is not root. This guy is IAM.
Okay.
So what happens for me, Roshan? I'm able to log in through IAM user. That's fine. But I'm able to log in through root also. Root is asking for the authentication.
Please share your screen. I cannot. Okay, Kumar, if anyone is good with this guy till here, we'll not gonna cover EC2 now. No point. No time now. So we'll stop the discussion here. I'll just look into the issues what these guys are facing. So if anybody wants to drop off and they have some work, please carry on. Yeah. Thank you. So I'll stop share now, Kripa. Then you can.
Yeah.
Please share your screen, Kripa.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is happening?
This is okay.
So you are logged in as your IAM user. What is the problem now? I don't see it any problem. This is your IAM.
No, yeah, this is my IAM user, but I'm able to log in through root user also.
Root user. Why will not you have all the right? You created from root user. You created an IAM user, and you will not lose the root credentials, no? That.
Okay.
You are not
so multi-factor authentication involves in root credentials, right?
Root credentials. So you first sign in using root user email ID. Please select that. Sign in below that one link is there. Please select that. Yeah. Now you give your email ID. You will see your MFA now.
Yeah, I'm getting MFA.
You expected to get. You said this, right?
Yeah. I thought the root account will be deleted. That is why I thought.
How? No. Why? You can create users. You can add users from your root account only. This is your company.
No, that option was enabled, not delete the root account or something. What was that?
No, nothing like that. So you're all good. You're all good. This is your root account. You can go again to your IAM. Just let's go to IAM again. We'll see why that is disabled. Why this is not a green tick. Go to your IAM.
Okay.
You're all good.
Log out.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kripa. Go to your IAM. Go to your AWS services. No.
Not from here. Okay. Just a moment.
Is everyone okay? Rest of the folks? Hello, rest of the folks. Everyone got this? Can log into IAM user as an IAM user?
Yes, yeah. I was able to log in.
Good, Farhad. Good. So from tomorrow, we'll be in IAM user only. Keep your root credentials safe somewhere. That's your company, and you will be, whenever you need to add your new user, whenever you will hire a new employee to your company, you will try to give them access, right? So you will go to your root account, and then you will add user, and you will give specific permissions. So think like that perspective. Root account is that powerful, but we will not use that. We'll just keep it safe. But since we have given ourselves as the administrative access, we'll always log in as the IAM user. Cool,
So
Farhad?
here we are, Roshan.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So why green? Why this happening? Okay, no problem. I think leave it, Kripa. So you are able to. No, this is again multi-factor authentication is coming. So why
Oh,
this
so
is
here
happening?
you can see this.
I can see that,
Yeah.
but I don't know why it is happening for you. Because this is a green tick for all of us by default.
Yeah.
We didn't do anything here. So just
Even I didn't do anything here.
explore on this part.
What I did, I just downloaded the root key.
That is
.csv.
fine. That is fine. That
That
is
is
your.
fine. Delete your root access key.
Can you click on manage security credentials?
It's coming here.
Do this again. I don't know. Virtual. You have done it. No, leave it. Access keys. Go to access keys. What it is showing here? Can you read that line? What is that showing? Let me just
Your
check.
access key, make program allow.
Let me check mine if it is the same thing or what it is. Just wait, hold on.
Oh, I'm getting 2 access keys.
Okay, let me just check mine. Now for me it is disabled. Okay, no. I'm in IAM user, so I cannot do that. Wait, let me sign out and sign in as the root user. So if everyone has got this till here, we're gonna.
Roshan, I have something to discuss. Maybe once this issue is over, I can talk. Or
Sure. We'll discuss that. Hold on for some time then. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Root user. For me, nothing comes up here. Because for me, nothing in access key. I don't see anything. Why it shows for you?
Don't know. You want me to delete? Yeah, come
Yeah,
to
I
next.
can share my screen. Yeah, you better delete it. Delete it because I don't see anything in my under. Wait, let me show you. Can you stop share? I'll just take that control.
Yeah.
Stop sharing. Yeah. See, this is my root user, and I don't see anything under this guy. Maybe that is the problem.
Let me delete them.
Delete it. Yeah, please.
Deleted.
Can you go back and check now? Go to your dashboard.
No. Yeah, now it's green.
Perfect. Yeah, good. Now we can take a deep breath. Okay. Someone had something.
Yeah. Actually, we had customized one link, right, for this user.
Right.
User. Okay.
No, just click on customize.
No, when I try, I got that, but when I try to invoke that, I'm not able to see any AWS page. And also it's going to US East. I don't know why it is there.
It will redirect. It will redirect to something else, but you can. But look, let me show you see your screen here. Let me just stop share.
Yeah. Yes.
Venkat, right? Venkat as presenter. Okay, yeah, Venkat, please go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, basically,
Go to log into your root account, please.
oh, I should open with the root account.
Root account. Whatever things that administrative things that do from your root account only. Then we will not use it. We'll just keep it safe. We'll create user and we'll keep it safe. And rest, if you're good, you can leave for the day. We're not covering anything. Yeah, just. Yeah.
Thank you, Roshan. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roshan.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we can stop this here, man. Yeah, we can stop this. Oh, recording. Wait, I'll just stop the recording. No point.
Okay.
Let it go. Let it go for everyone's benefit. Let it go. Yeah. Log into your root account, which is what?
Maybe my net issue.
Okay, I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Okay.
ఇది మెయిన్ లైన్ పెద్ద పైపులో చిన్న పైపులు లేవురా ఇలా అక్కడ పోవాలంటే ఈ లైన్ వెళ్తుంది కదా
Yeah, Venkat. Yeah. No. This is your IAM user. Yeah. Sign in as a root user. Down below, sign in. Sign in as the root user.
Okay.
Yeah. Give your email ID next. Give your password. Give your MFA, which is there in your phone.
Okay.
Now give it why it is happening.
Oh.
Why?
Okay, I'll do one thing. Maybe recheck my password and come back. Maybe tomorrow. I will try now.
Yeah,
And maybe
you have to forgot password. You just follow along the recording. Recording will be saved. I think you can figure out, Venkat.
Okay. I'll do that. And if any issue, maybe tomorrow we'll have 2 to 3 minutes.
We can do that next session. After it's done, we can go over this.
Okay.
Or if not, we can connect over the weekend. If you ping me.
Yeah, no issue. Yeah, either way it is.
We'll connect over the weekend and we'll finish it off. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you. Is all good? Bala, Kumar, are we all good?
Good for the day. Thanks, Roshan. Thank you.
Sure, Bala. I know your question. I have noted down this edge location and data center. You will get an appropriate answer, Bala. Yeah.
Okay, no issues. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Kumar.
thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.